What up? This is your boy DJ EFN. You might know me as a drink champ, but first and foremost, I'm a proud father. I linked up with two of my other dad homies, Manny Digital and KGB, to start the Fatherhoods podcast. Each week, we bring you insider hip-hop stories, parenting, and advice and therapy. The saying is true, it takes a village, and we humorously serve as each other's trusted counsel in figuring out how not to screw up being a good dad.
The Fatherhood Podcast. Beats, rhymes, and diapers.
Yo, what it do, son?
Would it be?
Kay is not with us today. Kay, wherever you are, we miss you.
Manny wants to
Hey, yo.
sweet nothings in your ear.
Whisper sweet nothings in your ear. We started off in the green room with imitating, the midnight hour or the R&B joints happen. I think we should continue in those voices for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, no, that's weird. No, that's weird, man. We shouldn't do that.
What's fun and new in the world of fatherhood for you, sir?
Fun and new. Fun. My kids got these, like, I don't even know how to describe them, but like these sit-down bicycle things that they move their feet side to side, and it's like they're sitting on these like tricycle type.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Like a tri-wheel thing.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's four wheels on it.
But they wiggle versus pedal. No?
I lie. It's tri-wheel. It's the front. Yeah. They wiggle themselves around.
Right.
So that's something you're doing max headroom on me. I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. You are too. That's cool. I hope the video is not screwy. The audio is coming in clean though.
All right. Well, anyway, so the kids got that, so they want to do that every fucking day. And I'm just I'm really am a helicopter dad. Like, I'm just so nervous about these kids getting run over or hurt or whatever. I wish I wasn't like that, but I also am glad I'm like that. It's just such a conflicting thing as a parent. And I came across this Instagram page, or this video per se. I didn't really look at the page. And it shows this dad who I'm assuming is into motorbikes and BMX, right? And he's showing a bunch of clips of his son from really, really, really young. Could have been like 2 or 3 years old. Riding bicycle. At first it's bicycle only, like, pedal bicycle, and just wiping out left and right. Like nasty wipeouts. The kid had a helmet on and maybe some pads. But I mean, nasty wipeouts that I would have been like, ah.
Yeah, you would have been like, that's it, no more.
But he's got the kid going on ramps, off of jumping on the bike off of cars, and just wiping out. And then as the kid gets a little bit older, it ends probably when the kid's like around 7. As he gets older, he's on motorbikes, little motorbikes, and jumping ramps, jumping off cars. Then he's showing them on dirt bike trails, like in the hills, and then but nasty wipeouts, like where this kid got fucked up, but the kid gets up and it shows I think there's 2 videos, and at the last video where he seems the oldest, the kid.
This is over a long period of time.
What?
Like the video, it's not one video. You're saying it's multiple videos, right?
I think there's no. I found another video, but I only saw 2 videos that shows like a bunch of clips in one video though.
Oh, I see.
Showing the kid young all the way to older. I'm assuming it's the same kid, but the one that shows when he's older, then he's podium in some dirt bike competition. He like won number 1. So I'm like, the takeaway is like, let your kids, do shit, scary shit, so they can get better and be brave. I don't know what to take. I showed it to my son. I'm like, look, bro, don't worry, don't be scared. but yo, the falls that this kid is taking is nasty, and the things that the dad and the parents are looking at him, like allowing him to do, is like, imagine a kid on a motorbike, on a little motorbike, jumping off of a van.
Nah, yo, that's a lot.
And the kid will like bounce and then fall and fly off the thing. You're like, yo.
I think there's levels to that though. Like, I'm all for as hard as it is for parents to watch and all the anxiety you feel, I'm all for letting them learn hard lessons in relatively safe circumstances, right? So,
Right.
like for instance, I mean, I could take it back to my son playing basketball for the first time, like in a competitive setting. He was in third grade, so he's 8, right? And he wasn't at that time like very new to him basketball. Maybe he's been playing it like shooting around on his own for like a year since he was maybe like 7. And he gets on the floor and the speed is higher, like the physicality is more than what he's used to. And he keeps getting knocked down. And at one point, like he falls, like, you're playing basketball, somebody bumped into him, he fell, and you just start to see the tears coming down his face. And my wife's ready to like jump on the basketball court. And I'm like, nah, you gotta let him again, like this ain't dirt bikes falling off of vans.
Right.
But it's hard for a parent to watch. Like your kid is in a moment of suffering. You know that he's not hurt and none of that, but like he's going through something. And I had to stop her and I was like, you gotta let him figure this thing out. And if you know your kid well enough, you can tell when it's something serious versus them just being, a kid. Like every little thing bugs them, so they know to react.
Right.
And so if you're tuned in with that, you can kind of pick and choose when you intervene. But like always coming to their rescue, I think is a mistake because it
No.
creates
Yeah.
that necessity for your parent all the time.
A total mistake. But yeah, no, I get that. My thing is just like these physical activities that if a kid's really into and they start young and they really train properly and focus on it and do it for a long time, they could be like,
Professional or
these
whatever.
the illest, and so how do you as a parent, like for example, my daughter does gymnastics. The only thing that helps me there is I don't my wife is the one that goes with her and watches her through screens. She stays outside
Behind
of
the
the thing.
glass.
They
Yeah.
have they have no, they have TV screens, cameras.
Oh, okay.
And I'll probably have a hard time watching because
Really?
just the idea of her flipping and doing all these things and then just one wrong move,
Yeah.
and then kind of knowing that my daughter has like a clumsy background too, or before we used to be like, yo, she's a total clumsy person, like,
Yeah.
but she's actually gotten really good at it. And again, that's because rather than be scared for her and not let her do it, we're letting her do it. She obviously had some falls, proper training, she's committed to it, and she's getting good at it now. But still doesn't mean that one slip or one moment that she's not focused or paying attention to what she needs to do, she couldn't get really hurt. And that's
Yeah.
that's the
That's what
fear.
you fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. Like you see examples of that all the time, but like you play offense for these things, right? Proper training. Uh, once they get trained properly, it's because it becomes a routine for them. I'm talking like athletes, right? I consider
Right.
that's a sport, right? So like if they learn it the right way and they consistently practice it that way, it becomes a habit for them. So for them to do it the wrong way to increase the risk of injury, serious injury, is really difficult. It can happen, but
Right.
it's like, God forbid, one of us is walking down the street. Like we know how to cross the street. We've been doing it for our whole life, but any little thing can go
Right.
sideways, and then there we go. We get injured, right? So like, but it's cool though when parents learn how to balance that, because at the end of the day, you're like, this is beneficial sometimes beyond what a parent even understands, because like the physical exercise and all that kind of stuff, that's like an easy to understand benefit. But yo, like I've had the opportunity to interview like high level basketball players, right? And what's interesting about those types of people that go pro and they're like, it was usually guys that I interviewed. So he'd be like the man in his neighborhood, in his city, in his state, in his country, right?
Right.
And then it comes to a point where all they did is basketball and now their body can't keep up. So now they have to retire. They are elite athletes. But what's crazy is because they're not at that level anymore and praised for that sport, they feel like they're worthless.
Inadequate, right?
Right. Which that makes sense, right? You're told your whole life you're the man at this, and then all of a sudden now that's taken away from you. Now you're just a regular Joe, is how they look at it. But yo, the way they can flip that talent into the corporate world or entrepreneurship is like incredible. Because the fundamentals of playing a sport translate so well into the business environment if you understand kind of how to leverage those
Sure, not
talents.
everybody can do that.
No, it's really hard to translate,
right.
understand how to translate, but the hard
I'd
work is
imagine
already
that.
done.
I'd imagine that's similar to like artists. Like it's like an ego thing, you know, like artists being praised when they're hot, and then when they're not, the struggle there.
It's
You know
it's
what I
a real
mean?
it's a real. I
And what
mean,
do you do?
I've spoken to guys and they've gone through massive depressions. Like it's big. Um, but there's opportunity. Anyway, the point of that rant was really just like there's more benefit to letting your kids go through some of these hardships of sports, but even other things in life. Because on the other side, they become more durable and versatile human beings. That's going to benefit them crazy
No, the
amounts.
benefit. Look, without saying there's benefits for all that, I just think for the parent, it's like you're playing a balancing act between knowing, especially if you're a certain generational parent, the
Yeah,
ones of us that grew up more feral. Is that the word?
yeah, yep.
Um,
That
we
used to own
know.
ferrets.
No. We know that you need to like let them have a freedom, and they need to be exposed to safely dangerous situations, if that makes any sense,
Yeah,
so that they can grow and have experience, because with experience is how you survive in life. But knowing that and then implementing that is the balance act, because you also know all the dangers in life, and that as the older you get, the more stories you know of. Oh yeah, fulanito, a fucking pelican just fucking landed on his head and he killed him. Like the happenstance bullshit that happens in this world. Like, oh, dude fucking changed flights last minute and went on this flight, and that flight crashed. Like, you know he wasn't supposed to play that day, and then fucking he got tackled by fucking this guy, and he's no longer, like, I don't know. It's just you think of all these random events that people get hurt in, and you're just like, I just want to protect my little baby chick, like my cub.
yo, what's funny about that? Like when you said the pelican thing, like that's the kind of shit, right? Yo, your third cousin Juanito was walking down the street and he had a piece of sandwich and he bit it, and then the pelican came, busted him upside his head. Now he's brain dead.
Yeah, dog.
So now your aunt is like, everybody needs to wear a helmet all the time when they're outside. So that whole generation now is growing up fucking wearing helmets, and you track it back, and you're like, bro, that's a 1 in a bazillion chance.
Right.
But your whole life has changed now.
Well, I mean, and all that, and that, I feel like that's being exaggerated even more now with social media, because every
Oh my
time
god.
you open social media, it's this new food or bacteria or something, and then they show a person fucking convulsing because they fucking ate a gummy bear, and it's like, oh, like, it's just, I don't know, bro, and it makes the world scarier,
Yeah,
a lot scarier. I,
absolutely.
I felt like there was a nice segue based on the other stuff you were saying about the basketball players. Um,
That you forgot.
yeah, that I completely forgot. But let's take it back to the midnight hour. Let's check
Yep.
in on Fulanito.
I heard the illest story earlier today, and I wanted to float this your way because there's
Like a piece of shit.
nah. It was so there was a basketball. He's still a basketball player. We go back to basketball, not intentionally, but so this guy, professional basketball player. He's from Europe. He's from Montenegro, actually.
Okay.
I say it like it's Spanish speaking. I don't think it is. Anywho, um,
Where is that? Spain, Morocco, what?
I want to say Central Europe. I think south somewhere.
That made a
Anyway,
lot more sense. Not go.
so he made it through the European ranks in basketball. Huge star over there. He got drafted, went to the NBA, became like a really strong player, had some really good contracts, like long money, right? He got to a point in his career where they were going to pay him a huge amount of money, close to I think the most he's ever made ever professionally. And he was vacationing in Greece when his agent called him and told him what the deal was with this new team. And
Team is here in the States.
he was the team that was trying to sign him was here in the
Okay.
Utah Jazz. So his agent tells him, and it, like I said, it's like mad dough per year. And he goes to the airport because he's about to fly to Utah to like lock the deal down. And before he boards the plane, he has a change of heart, and then he jets, like he doesn't take the flight, and then he decides to stay in Europe and play professionally over there at a huge discount because they don't pay the same over there, but I'm sure it's still millions of dollars, right? So, but what was interesting, and like when that happened, because he was at the pinnacle of his career in the NBA, so like there was like a lot of confusion, and immediately I think I remember the time, and like the rumor mill was like, "Yo, this guy's soft." Like that was and something happened a few years before that where he got punched in the face by one of his teammates, and he missed like 25 games because shit broke in his face. It was that hard of a punch. So,
and what happened to the other player? Like
he got suspended for a few games, but
okay, that's it.
Nothing physical. Yeah, no. So I think he carried that, right, and then because that happened to him, now he had this like, people thought he was soft. So that carried on too. It's like, yo, it doesn't make no sense. Why is this guy gonna quit when he's gonna make all this money? He's got to be soft, right? So find out, and relevant for our conversation, this dude walked away from so much money because his family, his kids were young. He just didn't want to keep missing moments with his children and be around for his family. So he he still loves basketball, but that was too big of a change for him to be able to endure. So he just let that money go. And I've had not similar in the sense that I walked away from considerable amount of money for the sake of taking back my time and being able to optimize it in a way that's more suitable for me to be around my family. And I know we always talk about, things of that nature. So I was just like, man, how fucking, like, he's like an inspiration. You know what I mean? Because like to be able to do that and do it for those reasons is so difficult. And now his situation is very different from the common person. He probably made a couple $100 million in NBA, right? So
he's gonna be okay.
he's gonna be fine. But a regular Joe, some of those kinds of things are just out of reach to be able to do. Like you can't quit your job and expect things to just work themselves out for the sake of you being around your kids, right? So I don't know. It was just something I felt like I needed to bring here because like it touched me because I had a similar experience, relatively speaking, and it's a topic that I know we kind of is in our orbit as we chat. So I just want to bring it up and kind of talk to you about it because I know you struggle with, like balancing your time, and you always talk about, things you just give up on or not do because even though there's potentially a big bag around it because you don't want to miss.
It's definitely a tough thing, and it's a tough subject because you know that there's parents out there and fathers specifically that they don't even have the luxury to contemplate whether they can or cannot do something. So that, I sympathize with a large amount of people that are dealing with that. But if you're able to get yourself in a position where you're making decent money and you can position yourself in a way that you can get back your time, like you were saying, or buy back your time or whatever, and you have to me, my only perspective that I'm living, the only way I could speak on it is from my perspective, is that when you have young children, you're never going to get that time back. And I mean, that can keep going when you have children of any age or family. When you have, you know, if you really think about it, as we get older and we start to lose our parents and our grandparents, I know that I've looked back and said, damn, you know, with my grandparents very specifically, man, I wish I could go back and
Spend more time.
done different things differently because I was a teenager and you know, I'll see them, you know, like just took it for granted that family member who I loved dearly, but I was just stuck in my teenage mind. And so once you get to a certain maturity level and age and space, you got to start to say to yourself what's truly important. I guess it just boils down to person to person. What's important to you? And I'm not trying to demonize the person that doesn't think that being with their family is important.
Right.
That's on you.
It's a
But for
personal
me,
choice.
it is. But for me, I just think it seems black and white to me, especially if you have children, especially if your children are young children that are dependent on you. That time is finite, and you should do everything in your power to you know to spend as much of that time as possible with your family, so that later on those memories for your children and that they can be passed on. Like to me, that's generational wealth. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Because what good is building generational wealth if the next generation has no memories of you, only to say, "Oh, thanks that he died and left money." Like that's all you were good for is dying and leaving some money or leaving some property. Nah, man, I want memories. I want even if you can't piece together, you know, very specific memories. I want there to be a memory feelings like, yeah, pops was there. You know, pops made us laugh. Pops was silly. Pops, we went, you know, made sure we went on certain vacations or we did certain things together. Like, I want those memories full, not where Pops was cool. And yeah, we went on some cool vacations once in a blue moon and he tried to be there. Nah, nah, I
Yeah.
want it to be guaranteed I was there in that memory
Mm.
moving forward. And that's what's important to me, man. And you know, obviously, I feel like I'm lucky. Well, it's a gift and a curse. I had kids later when I was a little older. My kids are young still. So, you know, the other side of that coin is I'm like, damn, I got to make sure I make it for a certain
Yeah.
amount of time for these kids. So
Right.
now you have two problems. You're trying to make sure you could buy back your time and carve out that time and have the financial stability to have that time. And then you want to make sure you live out that time. You have, you know, that you actually can be here for that time.
It's a different kind of presence. It's like the of the mortality version of it
Yeah.
versus like
And I
the
know it
just
sounds morbid
no, but
because
it's a reality.
I'm sure there's people in their like 70s and 80s that are chilling and they're like, "Oh, boy, you young," you know, like what you talking about?
Yeah,
But
but we talked. I think it was last week. Like after you cross 40, or at least my experience, and
yeah.
science backs this up. Like especially men, like we go through heart attacks more commonly.
All
And
right, man. You don't need to put that
I'm
out to
just
make it depressing right
no,
now.
I'm just saying like that there is an importance around like and
Right.
literally for me, and it wasn't because of the heart attack thing, but like 40 was literally when I decided to start actually working out consistently.
Right.
Like before that, it would be fits and starts. But that's when I was like, it was like COVID. COVID was still going on, and I was like, yo, I need to do something. And that's when it started for me. So I can thank COVID for that, right? But like,
Right.
and it just so happened to marry with all these other things that are going on for a man, usually at 40, that are take shaving years off their lives. That I'm now buying back, essentially buying back years, being able to do some of this stuff. And one of those like subtle things, right? Because when we were young, you saw somebody in their, let's
The
call it
famous
mid,
when we were young phrase.
you see somebody in the mid 50s, for example, right? I mean, we probably didn't even know, but you nowadays you could probably tell like, damn, they were in probably their 50s at that time, and they looked like old, bro. Like
Yeah.
60. When you said 60 back then, 60 was just like ancient.
Bro, hold on one second, but we're gonna I wanted to do this on the fucking have you been getting 347 fucking spam calls?
No,
Okay, so I'm sorry I interrupted you because
all
I've
good.
been getting
Don't worry, I'm gonna tell your
bombarded.
wife.
I've been getting bombarded with these calls, and I just want to, and I tried to answer one today, and it was like a collect call. I don't know, it's from fucking prison or
They still
something.
do that? That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a collect call. I don't know, but I'm getting bombarded, and it's 347, but then different numbers after that.
Yeah.
Like
All right,
five a
well,
day, 5 or 6 calls from this a day. Sorry about that, man.
you hot, B. You hot.
So go ahead. I'm really sorry I interrupted you.
No, forget it. Now I don't even know what I was saying. So you're gonna have to rewind, guys.
We're talking about when we were young.
So, okay. So like a 60-year-old was like ancient. They
Yeah,
could
look,
they could
looked.
looked it, but also
Yeah,
the way they moved around, like it was cojeando, like they were like limping around. It felt like, right, and
yeah.
like that was what old people look like to me, right? And it was like 60, I think, was like the number. Now you see 70-plus-year-olds that are relatively mobile, like they look older than they did, but they move around like they're younger. Like I have older neighbors in my neighborhood that are still shoveling snow, that are doing walks, throughout the neighborhood. Like they're still very active. That wasn't the case before. Now I'm looking at me and I'm like, I need to be like that, but I'd say even better. Like,
Do you
because
feel like you're on track for that? Because I don't.
I do, I do, and the secret, honestly, I mean, yeah, the consistency in working out is a big deal,
Right.
but like, yo, mobility exercises,
What the fuck do? You do? You do yoga, bro?
I don't do yoga. I should, but I don't. I just do a lot of stretching.
Yeah, I don't
Honestly,
stretch, man. That's my problem. Well, first of all, my fat ass gotta lose weight. Second of all, I gotta do CrossFit, but I mean, I do CrossFit now, which
yeah.
people don't believe, but I do CrossFit regularly. But I don't stretch anymore before or after CrossFit, so that's
Oh,
terrible.
yo, you put yourself in the bad spot, bro. Because it takes very little for us to be in a stretcher because we don't stretch.
100%, 100%. So, I do a show called Drink Champs. The
Mm-hmm.
drinks
I think I
are
heard of
all
it.
around me. So yeah, I
It's yo,
definitely want
it's
to take.
it's critical. Yo, I'd say this, and just from like speaking to a bunch of people in a similar age range, I speak to people that are similar to you, don't stretch, and they know, like when I tell them about the things I'm able to do, they're like, damn, I can't because this hurts and that hurts, right? Or like they'll do sudden movement and then now their back is out for like 2 weeks or some crazy,
Right.
crazy things like that. And yo, it's as simple as doing very basic things that'll take you 10 minutes. If you could do it every day, great. If you could do it 3 times a week, bro, you're in a whole different stratosphere as far as where you're going to end up. And it's like, they're super simple things, but it's just
I'm
like everything else. You got to do
I'm
it.
impatient with stretching. That's my problem. I'm
I
impatient.
get it.
My wife does it every night. Every night. I'm like, yo, you stretching for like 5 hours. Like before you go to sleep, she's on the floor stretching. I'm like, yo, stop that shit already. Turn off the lights. Time to go to sleep.
And then you're
She's
on
like watching a
YouTube.
podcast.
And you're on YouTube watching some shit while
Yeah, with
she's
the phone
stretching.
falling on my nose, and she's like, boom, oh shit. She's like, go to sleep. I'm like, no, I can get through this. The aliens, the UFOs, secret society, the Illuminati. Wait, I'm gonna find out the truth about the universe. Which is a whole listen, we won't get into today, but I can now say I'm officially a prepper.
What's that?
You know what a prepper is?
Nah, bro. Is that like a fluffer?
No, like a doomsday prepper.
Oh, got it.
Like I can say
Didn't they have
I've
another name?
no preppers.
Like the people that used to have like bunkers full of food and stuff. What
Those
were
are
they called?
preppers.
Yeah, but
Preppers.
there was another name that I remember. Anyway, go ahead.
Well,
Continue.
anyways, I've officially crossed the threshold of items that I'm collecting to call myself a prepper. And today was the day that I crossed that threshold.
So what? You went on Amazon, went crazy buying prep
Not just
shit?
Amazon. There's like sites that are just dedicated to that shit. Like I bought like those foods that last for like
20
25
years.
years. I bought a Faraday bag, which I'm sure you don't know what that is. Do you know
I
what that
do.
is?
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
what do they call boogie bag or some shit?
No, a
Bug out.
Faraday. No.
Isn't that not the same thing?
See, you don't know.
Oh, I thought it was a
A
brand of a name
No, a
of a bag.
Faraday, which is my second Faraday bag. I bought a solar ¿cómo se llama? Generator.
Uh-huh.
And then I bought a Faraday bag to put the generator into the bag. And just in case you're listening and you think you're gonna come to my crib and grab my shit, I got guns. But anyway, because I heard a good joke. I mean, I'm probably not gonna say it right, but someone was talking about this prepping stuff, and they were saying that I think Bill Burr, and I'm gonna fuck up the quote of the joke, that he says something about like he's basically prepping for the bully of the block.
I think I heard this.
You know, like he's here prepping, but then like when shit hits the fan, the bullies are gonna come and he can't defend himself, and they're gonna just take all his shit.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I got my gats in case that has to happen. But anyways, yeah, the Faraday bag is a bag. Well, they make boxes, all kinds of things. It protects electronics in case of an EMP attack.
Okay.
Because you know, if an EMP attack happens, all your electronics, on or off, are fried.
I saw this episode of this show called Lioness, and they used an EMP on that, and it made me think about like, yo, how easy it is to wipe out all your shit. So yeah, I get it.
And that's likely what will happen in any major attack on our country by even a terrorist or a state sponsored attack would probably be an EMP, not a nuke.
Right.
But an EMP would be before a nuke regardless, because actually when a nuke comes in, it is an EMP already. That'll happen first, and then an explosion. But yeah, that's likely to happen in any case of any situation, and then we won't have any communications. I have comms that are in my Faraday bags. I have smaller Faraday bags that I have comms in, and I have the boogie bags. I have those for 2-day survival.
You ready?
No, and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna start. I don't even know if I want to talk about this because you come to my crib, I got you, son. But I told her we need to, because I have a lot of other stuff that I've over the years that I've been collecting. I told her I'm gonna consolidate everything into one space, ready for emergency.
See, that's the thing about where you live. There's no basements, because that'd be the ideal place for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like well, yeah, but whatever.
Just for storage, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, fuck
damn,
a
bro. All right. I mean, look, it sounds very.
We got here.
It sounds very conspiratorial, but there's real situation like the EMP thing. That could easily happen. Right? Like that's not like aliens coming down from space. A little bit more crazy to think, right? But like this,
not really. Not if you're watching what I'm watching, but go ahead.
Not if your phone is falling on your face as you're going to sleep watching alien shit.
Hey man, they're in Congress having these fucking serious ass fucking sessions, and they're talking about shit like this. So I don't know.
I believe it, because the shit that I saw in the night sky a year ago made me a believer instantaneously, bro.
Okay, so then there's nothing to laugh at.
That shit was wild. No, I laugh because because of the way it sounds. Not necessarily because like, yo, like it just sounds out of this world. Literally.
And yeah, I mean, we're not gonna die because that's another podcast. But
the black hole.
We came out of this from saying, yes, we need to stretch.
Yeah.
We need to look at our health, and trust me, that's part of my goal, but it's not, it's easier said than done. But at least I'm doing something. I could say.
And that's better than just sitting there watching TV all day.
And what I would say to people out there is, please go visit doctors. At least do your checkups. At the very least, do blood work, because that's something I'm finding out a lot around me is people all of a sudden go and do random blood work and find out they've had some fucking illness for a long time, whether it be cancer or something else, diabetes, and they never had it in check. They never addressed it, and now it's worse because they never addressed it, and they could have nipped it in the butt a few years back.
Yeah.
So at the very least, do checkups. Before we leave, I do have an update on my son that I said supposedly he had a cavity, remember? And the visit didn't go well, and they referred us to going to a pediatric dentist.
Yeah.
So peep this. So if you, just to anybody listen that doesn't know what I'm talking about, my son was told in a checkup that he had a cavity and that he needed a filling. We did the appointment for the filling. We went. This is a family dentistry practice. The lady who was gonna do the filling was very, what's the word I'm looking for? She was impatient, and not well. She's not good with children. I could say that. And the place wasn't set up like just for kid friendly, like anything. And they were about to perform what you call a filling,
Yeah.
right?
Cavity.
Didn't work out. My son was uncooperative. The lady was impatient, and she's just like, I can't do this. All right, cool. So whatever. I was happy to leave. We went now to a pediatric one. We get in there. What a difference, man. Cartoons playing. The place is like for kids. The people super sweet with the kids. The whole family goes in the room for this thing. The girl comes in. They heard that he didn't cooperate for this filling, so they had to talk us about potential
Anesthesia?
what's anesthesia, yes, like what the scenarios would be, but then they wanted to do x-rays. They had a TV above his head that he could look at with his favorite little cartoon. Very nice. He was very cooperative with the x-ray. Dentist comes in. He's like asking us a bunch of questions about the previous place, and then he's like, hey,
There's no cavity.
there's no cavity. He's like, there is a dot on his tooth, which is probably why they thought it was a cavity. But did they take x-rays? And we're like, no. And they're like, yeah, there's no cavity there. It's just a dot and it's a baby tooth. We can watch the dot for a little bit. And make sure he brushes really well. Likely that won't become a cavity, but if it were, it'd probably be close to when that tooth is gonna come out anyways. And they were like, no need for anesthesia, no need for none of this stuff. You guys are good. And then, man, we dodged that bullet because this is the two options they gave us on the anesthesia. They're like, option one, you do it in the hospital because it's they put them out completely.
Oh yeah,
with the mask on, and that's how they do it. Because I guess they're dealing with, they would imagine this is the worst case scenario, uncooperative kid.
right.
And then option two is they do it once a week in their office, but they do an IV. It's not full. You're not fully knocked out, but you're knocked out enough through an IV. And I'm like, damn, an IV. And they're like, yeah, well, we have to use nitrous to calm them for the IV to be put in. And I'm like, both of those scenarios I do not like. And then luckily the dentist came in and is like, yeah, we don't have to worry about that.
The IV is tough because it stays in the body long. That was the issue I had with my son when I went through that scare. He was like oblivious and just acting so out of character for like hours. The gas is easy to digest because it's just air, so it just kind of floats out of the body more quickly. So that would be my preference. But he's small, so that's usually the path that they go down. But I'm glad to see how different the pediatric practice, bro. It's night and day.
Night and day.
That's dope, though.
And my son was night and day too. And I mean, it goes with having the tools, like that screen above his head that he could look up at. And then I told him, because they went to put the light on him, and I told him that's one of the things that my son was complaining about, the light being in his eye, and the stupid lady wouldn't at least move it a little bit, not being understanding that it was right in his eyeballs. And I told the dentist, I was like, hey, FYI, he had an issue with the light in his face before. And the dentist was like, oh, thanks for telling me. And he just moved it. And then he told him, no, he didn't. He just moved it in a way where it was not in his eye. It was like right up to the point of his mouth. And then when he had to move it, he said, I'm going to move the light a little bit. All right, Eric? And then, all right, really quick. And yo, night and day. My son didn't cry. He didn't squirm. He didn't do shit. Chilling.
And I mean, the first impression, I'm sure as soon as he walked in, like you see, it's like a playground almost. Like they theme it out in a way where it's fun.
Yep. And they're like, oh, we're going to give you a toy and a sticker at the end of everything. So that, kids, what?
Yep. No, those are the places that matter, bro. Because like, it's so like this is it could be so traumatic for them to walk in because it's so sterile and like blah.
Whack,
if you make it fun, because it's the thing you got to do, bro. Like you have to make sure that they're healthy. So you need help from these doctors to be able to do that in a way that's not going to torture them.
Yeah, man. And that's another thing. I'm getting so negative about our medical system. Like I don't know. It's just everything's so gloom and doom sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's still good ones out there, but it gets hard.
For sure.
It gets harder.
Yeah. So that's all I got, buddy.
All right.
I'll give you the UFO and terrorist attack and Illuminati report after this, so we don't scare our listeners.
All right, y'all. Catch y'all next week.
Peace.